Welcome, Director Wray. Thank you for your hard work. Does the FBI publish the Uniform Crime Report?
Yes.
So the 2018 report found that there were 24 hate-related murders in our country that year. But that didn't include 11 people who were murdered by a neo-Nazi white supremacist at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh. Why were they not included?
Sitting here right now, I haven't drilled into the methodology behind the report. I will tell you that when it comes to the Tree of Life synagogue, that I not only have been personally monitoring it, but I actually went to the Tree of Life crime scene, walked through it with the team, et cetera.
So you saw
I'm
it.
deeply invested and got to a full play-by-play as to the horror that occurred there. And I will say that one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that but for a few fluke coincidences, really completely fluke coincidences, there would have been a whole bunch of kids going to, in effect, class at the top floor of that synagogue, and the death toll from that attack could have been exponentially worse, as horrifying and tragic as what actually happened was.
Yeah, so it was the most violent anti-Semitic attack in the history of the United States, but it wasn't recorded in the 2018 hate crimes compilation that the FBI publishes, just as Heather Heyer's murder by a crazed white supremacist in Charlottesville was not recorded in the 2017 Uniform Crime Report. Are you aware of this problem in the methodology that the FBI is using?
I'm not aware of the specific methodological
why this
problem.
Is happening?
I do not. I'm happy to take a closer look at it.
Well, as I understand it, because I looked into this, the FBI relies on state and local governments to turn in statistics related to hate crimes. So if they fail to do it, if they're overwhelmed or negligent or whatever, it doesn't happen. So you were there at the Tree of Life scene of the massacre. You knew about it, but it never appeared in the FBI's statistics. The FBI reports an average of 7,500 hate crimes a year, if you look at 2013 to 2017. But the Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey estimated an average of 200,000 hate crimes a year, right? So that's a pretty dramatic difference between what your larger department is saying exists in hate crimes and what the FBI is saying. Do you think this is a problem in terms of us just getting a hold on what the problem of violent white supremacy is presenting to America today?
Well, I don't think it's unique to white supremacy, but I do think, and I think I may have said this in response to one of your colleagues, we do know that hate crimes are historically underreported. And of course, the challenge of underreporting is you never know for sure just how badly underreported they are. We also know that reporting has increased significantly over the last couple of years. That may be because the violence is on the rise, or it could be because more departments are doing what you're rightly suggesting we need them to do. We're trying to do a lot on our end to encourage state and local law enforcement to provide better reporting. So we do presentations on it. We do outreach about it. In speeches when I'm meeting with law enforcement, I'll talk about it, things like that.
Let me shift to a related subject. Between 2009 and 2018, domestic extremists killed in our country 427 people, which equates to about 3/4 of all of the extremist murders. Most of them were conducted by white supremacists and other far-right extremists. And yet, we've heard testimony that most of the Department of Justice's and the FBI's resources are still channeled at Islamic or Islamist fundamentalist terror. What have you done to try to reallocate resources towards what has been the major threat in terms of domestic terror since 2001? Certainly over the last decade, it has been white extremist groups that have presented the biggest threat. So what have you done to channel the resources in the right direction?
Well, we have directed all of our joint terrorism task forces to have domestic terrorism squarely within their sights. We have created the Domestic Terrorism Hate Crimes Fusion Cell to ensure that we are bringing not just the counterterrorism resources, but on the criminal investigative division side, our civil rights enforcement folks lashed up with the domestic terrorism folks. I have elevated racially motivated violent extremism to a national threat priority at the same band with homegrown violent extremism and ISIS. We had about the same number of arrests in the last fiscal year on both fronts. But in either case, I would say that for us, we assess that the greatest threat to the homeland as certain things that cross between both the jihadist-inspired and the racially motivated violent extremist side, which is you have lone actors, typically, who are largely radicalized online and choose, sometimes very quickly, go from despicable rhetoric to violence, choose easily accessible weapons, a car, a knife, a gun, maybe an IED they can build crudely off of the internet, and they choose soft targets. And that threat, that is what we assess is the biggest threat to the homeland right now.
Thank you. I yield back.
Okay. And before I